here, because normally I use 1.5 hours to explain this. And it's very difficult because I go to say many different kinds of information from many different people from all over the world, because I'm talking about Augusto Boal, Key of the Press. Is a technique, now it's in the 75 countries all over the world. He's in Palestine, is in Mozambique, in Argentina, India. We have a grassroots movement with 1 million peasants. Well, in the grassroots movements, and how I was from Center of the Temporal Press. I worked with Boal with 20 years, and then I want to know now how is the Tea of the Press. But to answer this question now, I come to the past to look for how Boal built the Tea of the Press. You can say like when Lenin make the 3 parts of the Marxism, like the German philosophy, the economic from England, and the political from France, and all the struggle of class. He is like more the puzzle of Augusto Boal. You can see many different people here. He wasn't going to make this lecture in this Marxist place in New York. And in the time Boal was born in 1931, and he already started to make theater with 18 years old, like in the end of the 40s, the 50s, and you already have this question, especially from the Marxist people, talk about what is art, how do you make art, who can do it, and who decide what is art. This already as a question come from many people, from Brest, from Walter Benjamin, from Lukács, from all these people talk about what's, and this our main character, Augusto Boal. This is Rio de Janeiro in the 50s. You can see the clothes from the beach. He was a chemistry. He's not came from the theater, and his first master was a guy called Nelson Rodrigues, which is like the father of the modern theater in Brazil. He's like a Brazilian Dostoevsky. He's a very conservative, but the same way this very subversive display, because he talked about the moral, he talked about the sex between the family, he talked about all the hypocrisy from the bourgeoisie, but at the same time he supported coup d'etat in Brazil. He was a very close friend from Boal, in the same that all this contradiction. But this guy is very famous in connection with Boal. But in my research, I found another guy, which is very, very important for Boal, is the Abdias do Nascimento. Abdias do Nascimento is a black guy. He's created a first experimental black theater. He's a group what he created. When in the 40s, all the time he said, this group is not a theater group, it's a fight group. It's a group go to the fight about racism. And he was not Marxist, he's from the left. But in the truth, he was a persecutor from the Communist Party, because in Brazil, still today, we have this big discussion about race and class, who became first or not. And he saying in Brazil, Abdias, all the time, it's impossible to say about the struggle about Marxism without him to say about slave time, which are black people, especially in Brazil, is the second black country in the world. And then he started to use the theater, with the domestic people, domestic women. The first step is to literate, because most of them don't know to read. He was out Brest. He went to Argentina with the Leonda Berleta, which is a group theater there, when they was in the school theater, and he learned political, he learned Kurzman, design, playwright, everything about it, and back to Brazil, and he was arrested because he's fighting with the army, because he started to make some political agitprop, against from some bars, which are racist bar. He go there and break the bar, all these things, and he make many different connections with the left people. For instance, he met with Albert Camus. I know that some people know the big discussion between Sartre and Albert Camus, which is orthodox Marxism or not. And he has this connection with this guy, who is Joãozinho da Gomes, who is like the father of the modern Afro-Brazilian religion. And Boal went through this Afro-Brazilian religion, and he wrote a play called, for example, when he had 19, 18 years old, he wrote this play called When Lion Was There. He got the Oedipo tragedy and mixed with the mythology from the Afro-Brazilian religion. And the first play from Spirit of Black Theater was from Eugênio New, was the anarchist and left guy, called about the Empire of Jones. because they don't have playing about black people, And then he went to USA, start to study with, and this time it was the Marxism time, the 50, 52, 53. I think everybody knows Marxism, don't need to explain, they persecute the communist people, left people. There's a nice move called a trumbo. And then that is the three-part of Boal. This is the John Gardner, in the academic way, is the guy he went to US because this time was very famous playwright teachers. His Langet Hughes, I don't know if people know, is a very famous black poet in the United States, a very left guy. He's from the Communist Party in the United States. In Lake Strasberg, the guy get the Stanislav's technique, and also is a very political guy. These three people also already went to the Soviet Union. This was in 20, and they met Meyerhold, Stanislavs, and all these people, and around has this big debate about what is art from Marxism, all this big debate between Benjamin Lukács and Brest. He's involved in all this, and he saw how it was the Stalinism in the 1930s, to 1903, had this big, we define what is socialism, realist socialism, and then there's this big gap between all the arts people are doing, including the Meyerhold was killer, all this, and the people saw this. And then the Langet Hughes, he was one of the guys responsible for the Harlem Renaissance. He was the guy who made the jazz become popular. He was the guy make connection with the painting, he made a lot of poems. The black painters use his poem to the fighting, the street, and things like that. He's a very political guy. And he met Augusto Boal, he became friends. He went to his house, he made a play together, and included Langet Hughes was invited, to come to the market to I don't know if people know that people was invited to come to the senator, and he was in Curie. Are you communist or not a communist? And Langet Hughes already was from the Communist Party, but he back from the Soviet Union scene. This is Stalinism, this is something he had nothing want to do the same way. And he's Lee Strasberg, what also he's from the group theater, was a very political group in the US. He make a lot of newspaper theater. He's the three, is Harold Kluman, Charlie Carfeld, and Lee Strasberg. He is the favorite years when the third, when they make when Awake in the Left, it was the play about the strikes. The strikes was the first like a political, very strong play. And it's very important to say, Stanislavs were a very political guy also. And many people don't know this. Stanislav supported the Russian Revolution. Stanislav was part of the union of actors in the revolution time. And he supported the work to democratize the arts in the time of the revolution. And here is where Lee Strasberg, the guy created the Actors Studio. Actors Studio is very famous. Mary Morrow, James Dean, all these people from the Hollywood movies come from there. Use the Stanislav's technique. Harold Kluman, Charlie Carfeld. He is Elie Kazan, who is the guy who betrayed the left movements. He give the names for the CIA. He is a manifestation. With all this, nobody paid the light. It's not a public university in Brazil. If it was in Brazil, it's that's okay. But this is a very political group there, in the Actors Studio. And here's the John Gardner. John Gardner, I found, because all the time, at the time it was he talked about John Gardner, he's all like his masters. And I found out John Gardner was the right hand of Evan Psicato. Many people don't know Evan Psicato because he don't wrote play. But this the guy is a teacher of Brest. He's the guy who created epic theater. He's the guy, he's amazing director. Anything you see today in the theater, you right, Psicato already have made in his time. He is the guy break the scenery for the theater in the 20s. He's the guy move the scenarios. He's the guy put the design inside the theater. He's the guy make many different plays for the Communist Party. About for example, the big gap between Social Democrat and Communist Party in the time. He's a very political guy, and he was in the Germany, and he was expelled from the Nazis. He went to the Soviet Union. He was expelled from the Stalinism, and he go to the New York to create this school. And he is John Howard also was a Communist Party, and he was like the guy making different books about playwright, and not in the orthodox Marxism. He is not in what is. And Noah Hertzog is the guy who wrote this book called Moscow Rehearsal. This book is like a John Reed book, The 10 Days of the Revolution, but only about theater. He wrote, I saw the red arm on the stage, I saw the red hand on the audience. I saw how the political, there is one place the Marxism and the revolution work is in the theater. This is the dramatic workshop school, which is the Pizzicato created the school. The idea is to everybody know all the process in the theater. And here you can see he created the school, new school social research, which is the university received a lot of people from Europe, escaped from the Nazis, the Marxist people, a lot of people, Kurt Weill, Mordecai Gorlick, Asen Eilers, a lot of people already working with the Brecht, for example, was in their new school. And here you can see they use all these people to write the play. It's all the kind of the theater all over the world, not only Europe. He studied Asia theater, Africa theater. Here some classes, experimental technique. They studied epic theater, the community laboratory. I'm running, give it the time. They make the work together, like they did democratize the means, like the theater of the press are working. And then go back to Brazil. It's the time of the strikes. It's like the 50. You had a big, in the 54, for example, you have a strike in São Paulo, the biggest city in Brazil, with 300,000 people. In this moment, the city had like 2 million people. Only to think about how it was a strike. And while starting this arena theater, with all these people from the Communist Party and some people from the Trotskyist Party, and many people said Boal not a political guy, but because Boal criticized the Communist Party at this time. This time the Communist Party is very Stalinism, and I'm very happy. This is Roberto Schwartz. He's a very close friend from Boal. He's the guy who started to tell about epic theater from Anatole Rosenfeld, which is Anatole Rosenfeld was a teacher, like a master of Robert Schwartz. He's a German guy who also saw a brass plays in the German, and he came to Brazil. And the first play the Boal used, Sano Kaze, I think it's from Ireland, the Senate Howard, and John Stansbeck, who is a very left guy also. He started to create the first point of the gear, to break the gear. You need to know some different plays. The seminar, they create a seminar of the drama, because the idea is not only the actor make the play, but the actor needs to know all the gear of the theater, all the steps of the theater. And they create the seminar of dramaturgy when everybody can wrote, and not only the seminar of dramaturgy, but the seminar of the capital. The book from Karl Marx was create a big seminar in Brazil this time, when the people don't know a lot about capital. Some people from, for example, Fernando Henrique Cardoso, the sociologist, many people from this seminar make part, and the first wife of Augusto Boal was part of this seminar. The seminar happened in some different parts, and also in his house, And this all the times that the big discussion happened, like today, the Villa, the Castle Struggle. For example, Simone Beauvoir, the second sex already released in Brazil in these times. Sartre and Simone Beauvoir was like 2 months in Brazil, and Boal make the gear. This is the play from Sartre, which the play talk about colonialism. And then Boal create this big part with these grassroots movements using arts. We call it CPC. Is the cultural popular centers. When you go to the north of Brazil and you have make connection with the Paulo Freire, the pedagogy of the press, he wrote the plays like the same way the Pizzicato made in the past. And they come the coup d'etat, they create a play called Arena Tel Zumbi. Zumbi is a black hero from Brazil. When he used a lot the technique from Pizzicato, he used the moves. He started the play because this play is about zombies, about a rebellion with the black people and the white people. But he start the play using a move to talk about the Vietnam War to show we talk not about the past, we talk about today, about the dictatorship. No, and Boal now this time he's made part with the guerrillas, no, from Marighella. And all the censor, the dictatorship closed the theater, closed all the space, and then he started to go and use the newspaper theater, which is a technique not from created from Boal, was created from the Russian Revolution. In that time, they don't have theater, they don't have nothing. They use the theater, the newspaper, because the newspaper was on the street, and create like more than 55 groups. And this is the 1971, was the worst time the dictatorship, when all the people are arrested and tortured. And they democratized the means of the production, like the idea from Benjamin, from Bertolt Brecht, no, and used it with the unions and all these people. That is the point. No, I go to the end. They're looking for the agitprop to use this technique to democratize this, and they create. And this is the last. Like when what the capitalists do, when you find when you create something new, the capitalists get this and capture it, no? And then that's the table when the Boal used many different kinds of things come from the critical way, and they because they had the bourgeois theater get, and they change and make something different. No, here is the table, but I need to finish. But that's the idea to break the gear, not to understand how it's come from this all the story.